social media has seen my post this week, you would have known that I left town and I was gone for 3 days, spent from Sunday to Thursday, well, like 3 full days in Panama City Beach. My wife, my in-laws, we all got together and we took my wife and I's youngest to Panama City Beach to go lay on the water and enjoy ourselves. And I forgot because before we moved to Alabama, we lived in Panama City. So for me, it was just going to the beach, but it was giving our youngest a chance to be in the vicinity of some of her peers and catch up with them before they, move on past high school, being that she's a freshman now. So some of her constituents are still there. So it was pretty cool to be able to be there and have that moment with her. She went to her old elementary school, Breakfast Point Academy. Her mother and grandmother walked up in there and she met with one of her teachers and they had like a little mini reunion on the fly, which was really cool. It was something I've never done before, so the awkwardness of it was like, I don't do well with unusual situations, and that was an unusual situation for me. I was open for it. I just did not have the mental fortitude to go forward with that, so shout out to my wife for being willing to do that on the fly for our child. Our child really enjoyed it. In addition to that, there were so many cool things that we did. One of the dopest things I did was I really enjoyed Panama City Beach for like the first time on the tourist level. When I lived there, I worked. So there was times we went to the beach frequently. In fact, we lived across the street. I believe it was like on Southtown Drive. We lived in Lake Town Wharf. So we overlooked and stayed in the vicinity of the beach. But there's a difference between living and working and being a tourist. And this time we stayed in the Spring Hill Suites on Front Beach, and I mean, it was a fantastic view. And just so you guys know, I totally geeked out because at first we were on the 12th floor in the 1200s and we were looking on Front Beach. We didn't have the beach access, but for our final night, we went ahead and used our upgrade and we stayed in, guess what room? I stayed in 616, which of course is the Marvel Universe. And we had a fantastic view of the beach. And let me tell you what, it was such a dope experience that when we first got into the room, my wife was like, come on, we gotta go do things. I was like, man, listen, I just wanna hear the waves. And not only did I hear the waves, I had went outside and I had set up my tripod because I'm always doing like a video and making like a tutorial. And I seen someone write something in the sand, and guess what they wrote? They wrote BFF Trump 24. And to me, it was nothing. I was just recording it. And I seen this lady, she was walking the beach, and out of nowhere, I think she was reading it the same time I was reading it. And this is on my TikTok, so you guys can take a look. And this is also on my Facebook and all my other social media platforms. What she did was took her foot and she ran across it. And my wife and I was like, oh, this gotta go viral. It didn't go viral. We got like 7 views on there, 7 likes or whatever, like 75 views and like 7 likes. But still, for me, it was dope to be in that situation and capture that moment. And I just was like, wow, this is pretty fantastic. So if you go to my TikTok, that's where you will see where this lady just took her foot and ran through whoever put BFF Trump 24. And I thought that was hilarious. And for the most part, it rained continuously for the first 2.5 days. But the third day, it was like beautiful, like super beautiful. Couldn't ask for a better short vacay from home to take our daughter, because like today's Friday and we've been home for 2 days and we've been rested. She washed her clothes. So normally when we do a vacation, like we come back the day of or the day before, and then like the whole house is just in disarray. It takes us like a whole week to, reset and get everything back together. But this time that was not the case. So I was really, really, really happy with the length of time. Normally I would have wanted to stay longer, but we caught it for a phenomenal rate. And then like Wednesday, they went up to like, I think it was like $364 a room. And we're like, yeah, no, that's cool. We had enough of this beach. But what I want to share with you guys is that from the very beginning, I did shoot a live video. Well, not a live video, but I uploaded a video and streamed it for a prolonged period of time. And you guys seen it. It was me, my family was at the shrimp basket. We were at the shrimp basket on Front Beach, and they got an all-you-can-eat seafood Sunday through Thursday. And it consists of catfish, whitening, popcorn shrimp, fresh shrimp, and I think that was all 4 options. So it was 4 adults. Our daughter's vegetarian, so she didn't want none of that. And it comes with unlimited sides. And it had like, I want to say 8 sides you can choose from. And you can rotate those. So if you get grits and broccoli, you can go back and get green beans and fried okra. All in all, I spent like $106. And I'm gonna tell you this, I got my money's worth. But the crazy part was this, the food was just amazing. I'm not a fried okra guy. I do not eat fried okra. I don't eat okra, period. But their okra is so fried and so good that I enjoy the okra with the tartar sauce. Like, I am hoping that the next time I go to Shrimp Basket, because I know there's one in Pensacola. I plan to be there soon. I think there's a couple other shrimp baskets. But the next time I go there, I got to get the tartar sauce and the hush puppies. They were phenomenal. The service was great. The ambiance was cool. I felt like I made like 5-6 friends just sitting at the bar with my father-in-law while we were waiting for a table, having a Jack and Coke. And we just had like a really, really good time. So shout out to Shrimp Basket on Front Beach. I really appreciate a place that has good service. So the following day was Monday. And unfortunately for myself, prior to going on our mini vacation, we did a karaoke party at a karaoke place in Montgomery, Alabama for our niece's 19th birthday. So we ended up spending like 3 hours, and this place is, I can't give you the name, actually I could, but this place is off Vaughn, and it's off of, I want to say Vaughn and Bell Road. So I'm going to go find it for you real quick so I can give a shout out to the karaoke place. Karaoke, Montgomery, Alabama. It's Hanshins Karaoke. This place, this was our second time going there. It was our niece's birthday. We went there with her before. Like I said, our youngest is into everything Korean, and she's teaching herself Hangul as she's finishing up her major. But I don't want to say major, as she's developing her artistry at her school. Okra is good for your joints, and men. Thank you so much, Abba Jack. Thank you, Abba Jack. I actually can see the comments now. I've been working those things, but thank you. Okra is good for you, and tell you what, I'm not really a fried guy, but I would definitely get the okra again. I don't know if I could do okra just like steamed or anything like that. It's way too slimy for me, but this okra was phenomenal. So like I said, we did this amazing karaoke party, and like we recorded like 3 hours worth of footage, and I'm just like into editing and making content. But there's content I make for the public to consume, and there's content I make for my family to share with them, for all our family members from Ohio to Texas to Florida to New York, Chicago, California, you name it. We share these videos and I keep them private. So the first day, I wanted my mother-in-law to see the video of us doing the karaoke, because it went from subtle to spicy, and like everyone was getting into it. My wife and I, we found a new song that Chris Brown, like Please Don't Judge Me. Like, I think that is our song. After being together for like 6 years, it's kind of crazy to know that all it took was us to do karaoke to finally like come up with a song. Because other than that, when we're being petty, we like to play 2 songs. The one song my wife likes to play is Teddy Pendergrass, TKO, I Think I Better Let It Go. And then I always want to play Tony Braxton, Unbreak My Heart. That's just when we being petty with each other, because like, you know, she's a logical person, but she can be extremely emotional. And I don't get the thing. I think she played Teddy Pendergrass one time, and it's always like that song she likes to play when she's poking the bear and making fun of me. So those are our 2 songs. But when we started singing Chris Brown, Please Don't Judge Me, it was like, wow, it was so powerful. We're like, please don't, and the words resonated with us. You know, it can get ugly before it get beautiful. And like, I don't know how long you've been in your relationship. My relationship has been 6 years, and there's not a moment where we are not facing adversity, just trying to coexist with each other. But long story short, Monday, I spent the bulk of the day putting together this video. And as soon as I went to go save it, I left to go to the liquor store on Front Beach because I wanted to drink some red wine and just unwind and relax. And I get back, and all the memory on my MacBook is like full to capacity, and I did not realize that I did not have the original copy no longer on my phone. So I deleted one of my videos, and unfortunately for me, I had an ABC recording going on, meaning that I recorded from the left, right, and then me and my daughter interchanged, and we both held the phone and went guerrilla style because these karaoke songs just took over. So I lost the original 3-cut edit where I had 3 different angles to edit the video from, but we still made it work. And by the end of the day, even though I was exhausted, I was able to render the video, and we made the video. And subsequently, my mother-in-law was able to watch it. She was able to enjoy it. And so was my father-in-law. He was there, he was present, but we did another video for him for his birthday not too long ago. And they all got to watch it, and I got to be the chauffeur and drive them around. It was a really, really fantastic time. So that's what took place for the most part on day one. Besides this, my wife and I, we are frequent Marriott connoisseurs. Matter of fact, we're both Titanium Elite. And this Spring Hill Suites was not like some Spring Hill Suites. We had just did a Spring Hill Suites early March in Sugar Land, Texas, for another event that we went to for a family member. And it was pretty much what you expect, just the basic hotel. But what really makes these hotels a little bit livelier now, especially going with my in-laws to a lot of these locations, is that we always get a joint room. So when you have that joint room, it's like you have a suite already, and y'all can just go back and forth with each other, and it's real cool. And we really enjoy it, and we have a lot of fun. But for this instance, it was totally different, and they had like a game thing going on in the lobby, and people were having a blast with the kids. They were doing music genre bingo, but me and my in-laws, we wanted to play spades. Now, previously, like a few months ago, my wife and I sat down and we did the unthinkable, because the whole family is engulfed into spades. But there's a story of my wife and her sister doing what we call a blind 10. A blind 10 is at the end of the game, or whenever you choose and elect to do it, before you get your cards, you just bid 10, which is a flight. And you know, the probability of you just getting a blind 10 it's not good. You know, like if I would try to put the odds together, I'm sure my device would tell me the odds, but just say you call it 10 out of 13 books on the fly. That's pretty impressive, and that doesn't normally happen all the time. So in this case, my wife and I, our backs were against the wall. We're building up to 350. My in-laws had 344. My wife and I had 41 points. We called blind 10, and guess what we did? We got a blind 10. We beat her parents on the final hand, got 400 points, and that never really happens. But guess what? I recorded it this time. So it was like, okay, the first time we did it a few months ago, I sent like the score to the family, said we did a blind 10, but there was no visual, there was no real documentation. It just kind of happened. This time, I had the documentation. I shared the video with the family. Sorry, public, you won't get it. But everyone got to see it who chose to see it, and we had it documented. So that was like fantastic. That really started our day, our vacation on the right foot. So the following day, our 15-year-old was like, look, I could have done all this at home. Only thing I get is a beach view. We're like, oh my gosh. Like you just can't enjoy not having the pressure of being home and a break from the norm. Like, you're just like, I could have done all this at home. So my in-laws was like, challenge accepted. We're gonna do everything on your list, including going to BPA. So my daughter was like, okay, bet, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. Man, we ended up playing spades at Rocky Lane. We got in the same predicament. I tried to do another blind 10. We got a blind 9, and there was an opportunity, but I went clubs. My wife was looking for me to go diamond. So that yada, yada, yada. I owe my in-laws a video of them beating us because they took it like some G's, but they wanted us to set the record straight. So I owe them this video of them beating us and us not getting our blind 10. But we went to Rocky Lanes. We really didn't eat. We went roller skating, my daughter and I. My daughter, she's like, I think I want to call her like the Mother Teresa of kids skating, because every child that fell, they got these like PVC, I think you call them like, they're like PVC skate rollers where you can hold on and the kid can hold on, and then if they fall, it kind of helps them brace they fall. Well, our daughter was like trying to help every child out, and there was this one child in particular, like I had to just get back on the floor because I was skating, and where I'm from, Toledo, they used to do Ohio skate a lot, especially on the weekends. So I'm not going to say I don't know what I'm doing. I just took me a minute to get my groove back, but put it to you like this. After I fell one time, I was done. I don't care what. I couldn't spin backwards and just go ahead and go back into the old school method, nor was I really ever good at it, but I was occasionally able to do it, but I couldn't replicate it. So after I fell, I was like, I'm done, right? My daughter was still out there, and she was helping out the kid, and I was like, yada, yada, let's get up and blah, 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 return the kid to their mother. Mother got her, and I was like, look, get a couple more spins, relive this moment. She had a ball. But let me go backwards. Before we did the roller skating, as I mentioned, my wife and I, we used to live in the Lake Town Wharf. Shout out to the Lake Town Wharf. We went to my favorite restaurant in all of Panama City Beach. And I say this, and I don't say this lightly, right? Because Taco Amigos in Harrisburg, PA, I love them, right? Those are my people, right? I really, really enjoy them. But Juan Tacos was like the originator, the one that put me on to creativity, playful banter, and great food, right? Like, Juan is like what I aspire to be in social media. Like, he just doesn't really care about people's perception of him, because his food always sells out. In fact, the food sold out while we were there, and me and my wife looked at each other a couple times like, man, is Juan going to shut the line down before we get to order? And fortunately for us, we did not get the line shut down on us. In fact, we ain't seen Juan in like 4 years, and he still recalls our face. It's midnight in UK. Here, good night, Abba Jack. So what ended up happening was me, Juan, my wife had a conversation, and it was good catching up. It was like we was really catching up with an old friend. I don't know if he sees us in that regard, but we kind of see him in that because that was like helping us establish ourselves. When we were hungry, Juan would feed us, and we would just eat his tacos all the time. So if you're ever in Panama City Beach, please go check out Juan Tacos. Don't be discouraged because Juan is a colorful person. He's very passionate about his food, and he's a people's person. But, you know, Juan is Juan, you will find out. But he made this grilled cheese, I want to say carnita with strawberry jam and brie, and it was like fantastic. Unfortunately for us, we missed out on the rice and beans. They were sold out. My wife and I wanted to wait for some more because he got this rice beans. You pour a little queso with his sauce on it. And I was like, Juan, you know, as soon as he see me, I was like, Juan, you got your sauce still? He poured it up, like, I got it right here. I'm like, bet. So, long story short, Got my mother-in-law, our daughter, a quesadilla, like a kid's meal. I got 3. You have to get his beef tacos. In fact, if you're not a meat eater, just go ahead and get the beef and put it to the side for someone you love, because they will really appreciate you. I don't know how he does it with cilantro and onions, but his ground beef tacos are like A1. So outside of Juan Tacos, going to BPA, and going to Rocket Lane, we literally did nothing else. We went back to our room and we laid it down. Oh no, excuse me. I lied and I'm sorry about it. We went across the bridge to Panama City because I'm not sure if too many places from Central Alabama to the Panhandle where there's a Golden Chicks, in Panama City. And we went there and we got the tender meal with the spicy rotisserie tenders, or the spicy tenders, excuse me, they weren't rotisserie. And then after that, we ran across the beach and went to Back Beach and we went to Sweet Frogs. And I got like the best. And you guys are gonna see it in the video. So this is just the live stream, but I'm gonna show you the visuals and the video. But I had the strawberry shortcake with the salty pretzel, and then I got it with some marshmallows and peanut butter, and the marshmallow cream peanut butter. Then I got like a raspberry drizzle with some graham cracker dust, some peanuts, some walnuts, some almonds. Dude, it was everything. It came to like $7, my ice cream cup. But when you see the video, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, it was worth it. And it was like I was eating a liquid raspberry cheesecake with nuts all over it. It was fantastic. So our daughter was like super happy because between myself and her grandfather, we went to every destination that she desired to go to. And I just want to say shout out to everyone watching. I really appreciate you guys keeping the stream going, man. I'm really proud of seeing these numbers. It really does something to someone such as myself who, as I told my brother, he was like, so yeah, when you do these live streams, how do you do them? I'm like, I'm a one-person monologue. I like to recap everything. In fact, I want to tell you guys know I've been having this ongoing story. So my homeboy hit me up and he was like, yo, let's do this podcast. And I'm like, okay, cool. I had to pray on it for a moment because I'm like, you know, you ghosted me for like a couple months. Now you want to come back on and do it. And I didn't feel like there was no sincerity, no apology, no nothing. But I said, you know, I'm not going to let the devil use me. I'm not going to let the devil use me. I said, I'm going to let God use me. So long story short, I told him like, yo, let's get on, let's do this Friday. But because of my schedule, things didn't pan out where I could get on board. So hopefully we'll be doing that one real soon. And I can't wait to bring them on board. I'm going to do a real rollout because that's what we actually have to try to avoid, is letting the devil use us. Case in point, yesterday I failed. I always say I got a threshold. You know, everyone has a threshold of different things. My wife is a conversationalist, and that sometimes I can be a super introvert, where she likes to say, I got about 10 questions in me. After 10 questions, I'm ready to shut down. I don't know about you guys, but I was watching that new Row House with Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor McGregor, and I'm almost done with it. And like, I was so engulfed in the movie, it was like, you know, I was in ISO mode. Like, what? If it's not important, just let, you know, just leave me be. Just let me be. I really don't have nothing. Like I always tell my wife, whatever you decide, I'm usually good with. But in this case, she wanted to have another conversation with me. I was like, dude, I don't want to have the conversation. So I'm like, I've learned. One of these things that you learn when you've been with someone as long as I have been is that you don't need to be so animated with your words. You can just let your no's be no sometimes, but that doesn't mean that they won't come with a consequence. So I let my no be a no, and before I knew it, we pivoted and just sit there and say, hopefully things get better in our home, but just continue to pray for us. So it was like one of those situations that occurred where I'm watching this movie and I'm like, dude, this movie's everything. But in hindsight, I wish I would have responded, and that's just something that you have to continue to work on. In fact, I woke up this morning, I was watching TikTok, and there was a gentleman that says that, beyond your wife, like you're supposed to love your wife, but beyond your wife, especially with someone like myself, I'm from the Christian faith, you're supposed to love God, because loving God and loving Jesus allows us to love even more abundance. And please don't quote me on my scripture, because I know I got a question I got to respond to, because my wife told me catfish has cycles. And I believed her, because I was like, why don't you eat catfish? And she was like, catfish has cycles, and it's like a bottom feeder fish, and it's not of God. And I was like, oh, that makes sense, because they were eating whitening. And I forgot to tell you guys this. Sunday, we stopped in Greenville and we went to Shoney's. And Shoney's had fried catfish, and we thought we were going to catch the breakfast. We didn't catch the breakfast. So everyone just decided to go ahead and eat the catfish. I'm from Ohio. I'm not really that big on fish, but I know I don't touch tilapia like that. But catfish, I know it can be a little slimy at times, so I'm really skeptical about it. But this catfish was really, really good. So when we get to Panama City Beach, my wife is telling me that they have cycles. And I really get up online and I'm like, well, catfish have cycles. Someone asked me like, did you say catfish has cycles? And I'm like, look, I know I gotta respond to you. I will respond to you, but I stand on business. That's what I was told at the time. It was only afterwards that I received a chuckle, like, you really said it. I said, look, I can't be just saying things and then having people out here like believe in me and be like, well, yeah, catfish got cycles. And I always tell our daughter, like, look, if you can't verify and you can't provide documentation, then it's best not to speak on it at all. Because if you ain't got a link with some sound concrete data, then you just talking out the side of your head. And we don't do that in 2024. So that was that. And then in addition to, like I said, let me circle back around. We had a fantastic time when we was driving back up. I watched that new X-Men, and all I could think about was this. I said, I don't know what's going on with me, but somehow with the universe, I just be hitting on certain things. I've been collecting X-Men paraphernalia or merchandise or memorabilia. Please don't quote me if I misquoted that. For a while now, since for like the last, probably I want to say 5-6 years. I seen like Panama City Beach at the GameStop in Pier Park years ago. I seen Wolverine, Jean Grey, and Cyclops, like anniversary edition collector's toys. It was like $75, and I wanted it so bad. My wife was like, you gotta put your needs in front of your wants and things of that nature, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like a little spoiled kid. I'm like, man, when I get it, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get that. Long story short, I never got it. But what I ended up purchasing was the Hero and Villains, which, has ballooned in value, even though recently my Cyclops leg froze. I still got the uncanny Cyclops 1 still in the box with the Archangel and so many other characters. So, needless to say, knowing that X-Men 97 has really just skyrocketed, it brings the uncanny X-Men toys to a whole new stratosphere, and they're going to continue to go up. It's just kind of like what's going on right now. 4 years ago, I bought the Dogecoin. I bought the Dogecoin before it went to the moon. I bought the Dogecoin when you can still get it for less than a penny. I bought like a lot, and I told my brothers to buy it, and I bought in, and then I sold some, and subsequently, like you can sit there and see right now, it's surging once again, and it's an election year, so I kind of look forward to election years, because election years, the last time, I seen all of my stocks rise, and subsequently afterwards, I seen a big drop, and I told myself if I ever get a chance to go back to the moon, this time I might potentially cash out, even though we know, history speaking, that Doge is still new, is like 11 years old, so there's no telling where this thing could potentially go. And I was just watching Elon Musk on TikTok, and he was talking about, well, the rich people say Bitcoin, but the people's coin. I see my line workers at SpaceX, and I see them at Tesla, and they're all talking about Doge, and I'm like, well, you know what? Whenever a billionaire or the richest man in the world keeps talking about it, there's going to be some big whales definitely taking that bait and investing into it, and hopefully it just balloons the portfolio, because I know at one point in time I had seen triple digits just off of Doge, and I was like, I don't know what was in me. I guess I had the diamond hand. Wasn't scared of missing out, because subsequently I could tell you that went from triple digits all the way down to like 5 bands at one point in time. And I mean, I'm like, I can't even believe, but you don't know things until after you've been there. So you can't speak on something until like after you've done it. Like, how many people have actually shown diamond hands when they seen their stock go 100x? I have, and trust me, it was something, because I remember Sundown before then. Sundown went, 2x, and I cashed out everything. Subsequently, Sundown went like 5x like 3 days later, and I was sick about it. So, it's a learning curve. We have to learn, and sometimes we have to give ourselves grace and understand we're going to make mistakes along the way. There's decisions that, in retrospect, we're going to look back and be like, look, I wish I could have done that. But listen, I want to go ahead and change the trajectory. I told you about my trip. I want to get into these other conversations. I know, like everyone else, I looked at this whole Diddy thing, and I'm over here like hearing what they're saying about, hey, well, Jay-Z's kind of quiet and all this other stuff. In fact, there's been so much noise. I followed 50 Cent, and every now and then I have to unfollow 50 Cent, because he puts out great content, but then sometimes he puts out that content where you can just sit up there and just follow it and read it and indulge in it, before you know, be like, man, what? It went from daytime to nighttime, and all I've been doing is scrolling my phone. That's why I'm such a advocate to not get it on any technology. Like, it's like Ramadan, right? From like 6 a.m. in the morning to like 6 p.m. at night. Then I can get on it. But that's after giving myself, 12 hours of time to, be a parent, be a husband, do chores, do things of that nature, and really, take advantage of the day to the fullest extent. Then afterwards, I feel a little bit better. But like people like 50 Cent, like I promise you could go from scrolling his social media to like watching the TV shows, and he's like, dude, I just gave you like 8 hours of my day. Like, usually when I give my job 8 hours out the day, I get a paycheck. I just consumed your product for 8 hours, and you entrapped me on phone and both the whatchamacallit, the TV. That's like me wanting to watch BMF. I have not watched BMF yet, because I know when I watch it, it's kind of like how I feel about the X-Men, but I'm hooked. I have to watch the X-Men on Wednesday. But BMF, I can wait until it's concluded. In fact, I want to wait for Power 2 Season 4 to conclude before watching any of it either, because I know I want to just run through the whole little plot and see the end conclusion, because how they ended Season 3 was crazy. But anyhow, 50 was just out here rocking, because apparently his newest son, or his baby boy he has now, his mother is affiliated with Diddy, and he's saying these words like SW and things of that nature. And then I was looking at the picture, they have Diddy in a mugshot, and the dude not looking anything like the persona that we know, and things of that nature. And it's like, how could you not really see any of this stuff and not comment on it? For me, I seen it, I just comment on it, and I would just tell you this: it's entertainment, right? It's entertainment. Learn from it. There's a minister of the Islam faith that says, when you see someone down, learn from it, right? Because you could be the very next one. So I humbly sit and say, listen, we live in a culture that we learn from it. In fact, I know a lot of times, and especially with this cancel culture, and even just like having a wife, there's times I say something and it gets misconstrued, and it's like, you almost want to defend yourself, like, yo, I am not I am not masculine and arrogant. I gotta put it like that, like, because I believe in empowering women. Then I also believe in us as a couple knowing our place and knowing our role. You know, there's a lot of times I have to be there and play my position. It's not the position I desire to play, but it's a position I know that I need to play in order for us to move like a well-oiled machine. Case in point, my daughter and I got up the other day, and I was like, look, baby, help dad with, we got to go ahead and clean the pool. We've been gone a couple of days. We didn't put the screener over the pool. So we need to take care of this. Man, that ended up becoming an all-day project. But I told my daughter, I said, the difference between year 3 and year 1 was this. I looked at it as a daunting task, a daunting chore. Year 3 is like, I want to know that my stuff is functioning at a high capacity, and it's kind of like food. I will eat other people's food. I will go to a restaurant. But if you ask me who makes better food, hands down, I do. I make the food to my liking, to my tasting, whereas they make the food to the masses. I'm not saying they don't do a good job, and I'm no way a chef, but, you know, if you got to compare your food to Wendy's, then, you know, self-explanatory. You know, Wendy's, I'm kicking your butt. It's straight up. That's just, you know, that's just what it is. But yeah, I seen all of those headlines, and I was just kind of like taken by it. But the thing that was the most devastating to me was, and I haven't looked to really engage and know how, but when you see what happened in Baltimore with the boat running into the bridge and subsequently those people passing away, rest in peace. That is so tragic, and that doesn't do nothing but keep that narrative alive about them high-level bridges. Like, you know, I thought there was like certain things, like I said, I haven't watched, so I don't know. But I know they got this new term because I seen the mayor of Baltimore, and this is, of course, coming from TikTok. The new term, they say DEI, is basically the equivalent of calling someone a derogatory word. So they say, didn't earn something. And I'm like, people always find all these ways of labeling something and saying this and that. Like, look at the world that we live in. The world that we live in is not fair. People are going to feel the way that they're going to feel. We are progressing as a nation, but that doesn't mean people don't have their biases. That doesn't mean people don't see people a certain way. In fact, as I continue my career, I've been really coming to an empath as far as opportunities. I've been looking to move from the way of life I knew in the field that I once knew, in the way that I went as a contractor to working for a company. And I'm telling you, I probably got 20 rejection letters. In fact, I got a letter today from a company. They were like, you need to, you know, articulate your different various jobs. I said, well, it's the same job, but I just work for different companies, and it's all the same work. And I've been getting like so much positive feedback from so many people in my community. But it's like what we said and said, if I put down every job I have done within the industry I've done, it will look like I have worked for like 35 different companies. But in my line of work, we refer to work opportunities as deployments. So I've probably been on 17 different deployments in the last 5 years, and they all are various things from auto to field to remote to supplements, you name it. So a company sitting and seeing that page and it's like, daggone, man, you got a 10-page resume. I know, so I try to condense it down and put the bullet points down. Long story short, everything changes and nothing changes, and we are who we are, and people are going to be who they are. That does not mean just because they're labeling you this way, that's truly their sentiments. And if it was, who cares? He's the mayor, right? He's the mayor of that whole city. So DEI or whatever, that's like me trying to say, well, Trump is not qualified. He did not earn the presidency. Well, At some point in time, he got voted into office, so it is what it is. He got it, so he's there. That's just how the cookie crumbles. So us debating about, is he worthy of it or not, that's irrelevant when he's already filled that position and he's potentially looking to obtain that position again. That's life. That's how this happens. And so I don't see the point in having a back and forth about any of it. In fact, I don't see the point in having a back and forth about anything. That's exerting way too much energy and putting way too much stuff out there with all these hypotheticals. Life happens, and we're going to be lifing until we're not lifing no more. And until we're not lifing no more, then I sit there and say, I think Kendrick Perkins put it best. You got one foot towards your maker, and you got another one on the banana peel. That's all you can do. You can only live your life, and you cannot sit there and quantify your life based upon a streak. I can't sit there and quantify my life based upon how well my wife perceives how I treat her. I love her, and at the time she's not going to feel I love her because I'm not always giving her 100% of what she would like. But here's the kicker. At the same time, I don't get 100% of what I like, but yet I know enough to know that what do I gain by complaining about it? Because at the end of the day, if you come to me, I'm going to love on you. I might be offended. You might be offended. That's just how the cookie crumbles. Anybody put one of these things on and want to uphold it, they need to understand this. It's not easy. It's not for the weak, but it gets better over time. It's like a relationship with a child. I never thought my eyes will open up and I'd be able to parent and father in a new way, but I am. I'm less offended by some of the antics, some of the things that happen, and some of the things that occur. I'm starting to realize that, hey, this is normal teenage behavior. The expectation I put on the situation was where the fault lied at. I expected a child to do as I say, not as I do, because that's what I adhered to as a child. I wanted to please my father. I did not want to upset my father. So my father said something, I wanted to adhere to it. I didn't question him because if I questioned him in my mind, that would make him withhold his love from me. And let me tell you what, God is amazing. And this is what I wanted to close with. There was 3 incidents this week. And I think 2 of them I can recall off the top of my head. The other one might pop. Well, I want to go ahead and close the show with this, right? We were at the beach, and the night before we left, I decided to do something different. My wife and daughter wanted to go to the beach. I wanted to go too. Normally, I grab all of my possessions, and I would just carry them with me, but I didn't bring a bag down, nor did I think about carrying the sandals. But one time we was in Venice Beach, my wife lost her sandals in the sea, and I had to sacrifice my sandals for her because of course I'm not gonna let my wife walk barefoot. I'm gonna step on the ground barefoot first. That didn't happen. I opted to do something that she's very comfortable with doing. We took our puppy with us because he had a gas incident that subsequently cost us $350 to get diagnosed with x-rays the week prior. And Sunday when we went to Shoney's, she was like, roll the windows down so you can get some air. You know me, giving like a little crack like that, right? She's like, no, that won't do. You gotta roll it halfway. I'm like, I'm not rolling the window halfway. You know how much technology I have with me? Like somebody might go inside the vehicle and they might, take my stuff and then I'll be vulnerable because let's call a spade. I've been robbed before. And once you have gone into your home and your belongings are taken out your home, you become a prisoner at times. And I became a prisoner, and I never really got over that feeling of knowing that someone broke into my house and took my belongings. So me leaving my stuff available for someone to open up a door and take out is absurd. My mama used to have that policy. She was like, I'd rather they just take it out my car than break my window. Then what's the point of having it if you're not going to guard it and protect it? I didn't get her logic in that regard, because I'm always going to lock my doors. Now, if I got a puppy in the car and the puppy cannot go inside Shoney's, I understand we got to roll down the windows. But it was hard on me, and I took offense to it. And me and my wife had to take a pause for a minute because of that. And she's an Aries, so when she paused, it's not a pleasant pause. It's like, I really don't like what you're doing right now. So long story short, I did the unthinkable. I let all my belongings just be. And yeah, it was in the middle of the night, but still, I just let it be. We go out to the beach, we have a fantastic time. The next day, I'm sitting on the balcony, I'm overlooking everyone, 7 o'clock in the morning. They're out there at the beach, they're enjoying themselves. They're digging in the sand, they're putting their feet in the water, they experiencing how cold it is, they're running back and forth from it. And I look at the ramp from the hotel to the beach, and what do I see between the steps and the ramp? I see people's shoes. And all of a sudden, it hit a memory. And this memory was before I got robbed. This memory was when I was little, me and my friends would go to Swan Creek Apartments on the court and swim at our friend Alex's pool. It was me, Alex, Ori, Adam. And we were just having a good time. And I think Steve was with us, and Steve was a Caucasian white boy. He was real cool. He had the guy fade from Street Fighters. Long story short, it looked like someone the bowl cut, where someone put the cereal bowl over his head and cut his hair. Yeah, that's what he had, because it was like the fade without the fade on the side. It wasn't blended. It wasn't like the Travis Kelce. Okay, this was just the bowl cut fade. And that's from Northwest Ohio, not Northeast Ohio. Long story short, there's a little kid who came by the pool, and I had some Perriello shoes, and for whatever reason, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, he chose me. He took my Perriello shoes and he threw them in the river or the creek at Swan Creek. And I was furious, but this kid couldn't have been no more than 7 years old. I was like 14. Did I want to beat his butt? Yeah. But did I realize I was bigger than him? Yeah. Was I hurt? Yes. And I told my wife this after coming to this epiphany. I said, you know what? Yesterday when we went roller skating, our daughter ain't think twice of it. Said, hey, Dad, in order to get some roller skates, you gotta get us some shoes. But you know, Dad ain't thinking. I got some green apple Yeezys on, right? I'm not really taking my green apple Yeezys off and then trusting that I'm gonna get them back, because these green apple Yeezys have gone up in value since Yeezys are not being mass produced no more. I don't know. That's my assumption. I haven't looked at stock exchange. I got them for resale, not retail. So I know they've gone up in price, or that's what I'm going to believe until proven otherwise. I had a panic attack. I didn't want to do it, but I was like, I'm a trust God and let it go. I got my shoes back. But I told my wife, and I was like, this is one of the reasons why I said, we're going to go to Pensacola soon. I said, I no longer want to be a slave to my possessions. I do have nice things. I have nice chains. I have nice rings. I have a lot of nice stuff. In fact, I have so much nice stuff. I look like I just spent $300, $400, $500 on per outfit. Like I'm to the point now where like I don't have to buy no J's, and I still have J's to wear to the end of this year that people will be like, wow, I've yet to see you in those J's. And I'm like, I really don't have enough time. And quite frankly, through the power of Target, as my wife likes to call, I really got into them $20 shoes. You really don't see me. You don't really see me in my J's until I want to be in them. In fact, you can see how clean this Tune Squad shirt is. And I had this Tune Squad shirt for like almost 3 years now, and bought it, like boom, day one. Long story short, I said, next time I come to the beach, I enjoy the ambience of the sounds of the beach. I enjoy the water. I said, only thing I need is a beach chair, a book, and I don't want to be held prisoner. Because I should have said, one of the ways I started to validate myself when I became successful. And for me, success is 6 figures, right? So I never had expectations of being someone to amass 6 figures, right? So when I amassed 6 figures and started to make a lifestyle that encompassed 6 figures, annually, I realized I hit a level of success I didn't project for myself. And that level of success I wanted to do, of course, is validate myself. Unlike my hair is more so the reality I'm in, right? My hair, I lost it by force. Hey, Tanel, how you doing? Thank you for watching. I lost my hair because hereditary. My father doesn't have hair. Other family members don't have hair. I lost my hair. So me being able to afford this is not because I'm ashamed of being bald. Heck no, I love being bald. But given the option, do I want to be a dreadhead? Yes, I do. And that's why I am a dreadhead. So what I did was validate myself with possessions. I bought Jordans, blah, blah, blah. A lot of stuff that really is not going to give me the ROI I would have liked, like the Dogecoin and some of the other stocks I invested in. But it made me feel better as a person. It made me feel like I was on other people's levels. And, you know, subsequently, years later, please learn from this. None of this was worth it. But it was my mentality and where I was at, because I had a point to prove, because I felt like a black sheep. I felt like people looked at me and they judged me based upon appearance and based upon the fact that I was like a 28-year-old living with my grandmother, working at Panera Bread, taking care of both of my daughters. Like T.I. says, motivation. I got on my job. I did what I needed to do. And subsequently from there, things started to manifest itself. But I started to buy into my ego, my cockiness, and all of that other stuff. And then, you know, over time, I then realized, like, this week, where this all stemmed from. One, I felt guarded because that boy threw my shoes away into a creek. So from there, I learned to really guard my possessions and not let someone take my stuff. And then one time I let my guard down and trusted another situation, someone broke into my home and they took all my possessions out. Fortunately for me, I had insurance, but yet and still, I became a victim and I didn't release it. And then I just realized I'm never going to do this again. The next time I go to the beach, I'm planning for the beach. I'm planning to enjoy myself. I could care less about these garments at 40. I could care less about these shoes at 40. I could care less about a lot of this stuff at 40. In fact, I got an iPhone that's completely cracked up. It's an iPhone 13 Pro Max. Now, I was happy because it was the first time I got a gigabyte iPhone, and I had like a lot of storage, but I'll tell you what, you have a lot of storage, but 72,000 images and video, you're gonna pay for the 6 terabyte upgrade. And long story short, I realized that, hey, after getting that phone, I didn't need it no more. Well, I could have learned this a long time ago, but that part of my brain wasn't mature enough until as of lately to say that, hey, now I'm really at a point where I can separate my needs from my wants. And I understand that there's things that I might want. Case in point, I went to the pool store today and I dropped a pair of Jordans on pool chemical for the summer. But that takes away the need to have someone do my pool every month and charge me the base charge of 150 to 200 plus whatever subsequent days they see. I spend $250. My pool is probably going to be taken care of from, and we're talking like April all the way to like September, October, when me and my wife decide to, you know, minimize the doings with the pool. And when the, it gets cool enough where we ain't got to worry about no algae bloom, that's when we're going to make that decision. So long story short, that was an epiphany. I said, I will never come to the beach again and not enjoy myself because I decided to become a prisoner to my attire. My attire will no longer define me. And I'm really happy for that. And then subsequently, there was another PTSD moment. We spent the night over at in-laws' house. I think the guy came to deliver water, and and there was a knock at the door, and it was sudden. And of course, I'm the only man in the house at the time. So, but this ain't my house. So I go first, get permission from my mother-in-law. Like, I don't want to just be opening up the door. I'm not one of her sons. I'm her son-in-law. So I don't want to come off like, hey man, blah, blah, blah. But I'm right there in case anything happens. My mother zooms out the room. She answers the door. I go back in the room. And instantly reminded me of being in Holland at my grandmother's house and what used to happen. My grandmother was a pastor, and Pastor Demetrius, before God took her home. I love you, Gran. We used to have guests come over the house frequently. And when they come and they knock on that door, we knew that the kitchen was off limits and that we were not to be seen until it was time for us to be seen. And for a moment, I had that same mentality happen to me. And I went inside the room and I just stayed in the room quiet because I didn't want to, interrupt or intrude because, I'm here, my wife's here, our daughter's here, but it's not my door to answer. And then all of a sudden it kind of hit me. I was like, I don't like this feeling, but where does this come from? And I said, God, thank you so much so, because you've been giving me things that I've been needing to deal with related to my childhood and some of the traumas I've been through. And like I said, it was the shoes and becoming a victim, a prisoner to my attire. Then it was me trying to validate myself to others because I found some success, and I subsequently was like, hey, y'all ain't take a chance on me. Y'all ain't see this happening. Y'all could have been with me. We could have been doing this and yada, yada, yada. And then the third one was the door. But let me follow this up and close with this. God makes no mistakes. And there was also another message I found on social media that really resonated with me. Every one of these life situations that I was put in, ultimately I grew and benefit from, okay? I realized that I don't need to be wearing things that are going to make me overprotective and that it's going to cause for me to react in a way because they're just clothes at the end of the day. That's all it is. I have no stake in Jordan because I got a pair of these Jordans. In fact, I wish I would have done like what people did with Netflix back in the day. I wish I would have put $2,000 into Netflix and then watched it balloon to $300,000 like it is right now. Subsequently, other than paying for the subscription, like mostly everyone else has done. And then secondly, validating myself. I don't know why we do it to ourselves at times. It's just a way of life. You want to feel sometimes like it's an equal playing field. Like I am just as good as you are. In all actuality, we are always as good as we are, but because of perception, because of what people say to us, we start to feel less than. Like we start to look at ourselves and say, as a kid, I come from a single mother. She stays where her mother. I'm sleeping in this basement. My father, he works a job. He has a house. I get to go over there on the weekends. Me and my cousins here, I got house. They got apartment house. Little silly things like that. But I got XJ900s. They got this. Their dad buys them the Sega. My dad buys me a checkerboard. He gives me playing cards and things of that nature. And we start to feel like we're less than and we're not as good. Then when you go over your cousin's house who has all the cool stuff and all the cool things, so you're like, well, this really, really blows my self-confidence. And then, you guys start comparing each other, you got a big head. Like, oh my gosh, you got a big head, you got small ears, and you got short arms. Like, oh my gosh. Oh, then you're bald. Oh my gosh. It's like, you start to feel less and less. And then when you don't apply yourself or you're encouraged to apply yourself and study and push for greatness, then you really start to feel some type of inadequate way about yourself. And then when you look at your decisions in life and you see where your decisions in life have got you, then you sit back here and you're like 28 and you're working up near a bread and you're like, man, I can't wait, man. If I get an opportunity to make $20,000, I promise you. There was one year when my daughters were born and my baby mama and I were looking at who was going to claim the kids. It was crazy. Like she grossed $1,500, I grossed like $6,500. I'm like, yo, I should claim the kids. And I'm thinking to myself now, years later, like I grossed $6,500 over the course of 1 year, 52 weeks as a grown man. That's what happens when you don't really have the guidance and you don't have the belief in yourself that you can achieve great things. Like, you have to sometimes, man, I don't know. That's why I said praise be to God, because there was times in my life where I did not know. And so it's funny to be in the situation that I am right now. It's just like, God is beyond good. When I was a kid growing up, we had a public pool depending on what apartment complex we was at. When my mom moved to Oak Hill, when I was a junior in Rogers, we had a pool. You know what I'm saying? It was open to, end of May to the beginning of September. I remember one time I moved to these apartments on Ryewood as an adult. My kids had a pool, and I'm from Toledo, Ohio, so you only have like a 2.5, 3 month span to have a pool. Now to be in a situation where I got to go to the pool store to maintain my pool just runs year round, is a blessing. And then when you sit there and look at the situation and say, man, well, my mama was a single parent in Angola Groves, and we had a 3-bedroom, apartment in the projects, and you look at yourself and you're like, well, daggone, well, where I'm at right now, you can put that apartment within an apartment within an apartment, another apartment, another apartment, and then make it my living room. It's a blessing. But then you got to kind of like turn off that thing, right? Perception, right? I want to still look a certain way. I still want people to notice me. And that's where the communication, let me just tell you, if you're watching this, if you feel like that and you can identify with that, I strongly encourage you to seek a therapist, because nothing's wrong with you, right? And don't look at therapy as something's wrong with you. Just look at where you're at, right? And understand that it's hard to turn it off. Once you turn it on, it's hard to turn it off, because you had a point to prove and you wanted to prove your self-worth. And once you proved it, it's a goal, and the goal is okay to have. Like right now, I'm 40, right? And now I'm thinking about life at 60. And my goal is, when I turn 60, I'm not going to be a greeter at Walmart unless I desire to be a greeter at Walmart. When I'm 60, I want my business to make money for me. I want to be able to sit back, play cards, enjoy myself, and do whatever it is I desire to do at 60. But me grinding for retirement at 60, no, sir. I'm a little disappointed in myself that I didn't plan for retirement at 30. But at 30, I was just tasting something that I didn't taste before. And like Cynthia said, coming from where I was from, I always go back to this story. I took my dad to his first Pistons Bulls game. Now, before his first Pistons Bulls game, I took him to a Pistons and Spurs preseason game where we got to sit dang near 10 rows from courtside. We got, it was so funny, we went to the Little Caesar Arena and we bought food, and we didn't know our ticket included the buffet. So I spent like $80 on food, and then we turned around and get the buffet, and me and my dad was like, look, we not going to squander this opportunity. We're going to eat this food, then we're going to go to the buffet and get that food. I don't care if we got big guts. We're going to do like Uncle Leon said, I don't know when the next meal going to come, so I'm going to eat. And that's exactly what we did. We smashed out. But when I took him to the Detroit and Chicago game for the season opener, I bought my dad this fly Chicago Bulls jacket, bought him a hat, then got him a t-shirt. I didn't get him no new shoes. That previously he had purchased some shoes that I paid for while he was in Arizona taking our little brother to opposite GCU. My dad looked at me on that ride home and asked me if I was rich. Now, I know myself and I know what I see rich as, but from my dad's perspective, he asked me, was I rich? Because he said, I have never been to a Chicago Bulls and Detroit Pistons home opener game, and I've never been confident enough to walk in Detroit with a Chicago Bulls jacket. But you did that for me. And it made me smile. And I guess from where we're from Harley Street in Nebraska, Toledo, Ohio, in his eyes, I'm what he would perceive to be rich. In my eyes, I'm not rich at all. But having my dad validate me as a man in spite of our turbulence was everything. But it wasn't enough. I wanted everyone to validate me because I did not know how to communicate over at that time that the perception I felt as a child was overwhelming, and I felt less than based upon things that were outside of my control. The child right now that can see this video, it can be in similar shoes. And they can have the tutelage, or they can listen to these words and realize you are not your parents' decisions, but you are afforded opportunities based upon your parents' decisions. So, with that being said, you gotta seize the moment. You also have to open your mouth up and ask for that help. And that's why I said, don't get into this DEI and all this bull jive and all this stuff. If you got a situation like a blind side where there's a person that wants to take you out of property and get you in the situation, then so be it. But you make sure you read the fine print. Make sure you got someone to advocate for yourself. Know at 12 years old, you have the power to do whatever it is that you desire to do. You have to play the game, play the system. Not manipulate. You got to take the hand that you were dealt and make the most of it. You can do a blind 10, or you can do a blind 9. It's all about you working with what you got. And eventually, hopefully it manifests itself into something more. I'm living proof. The life I have, I never envisioned it for myself. I thought when I was at Chrysler, I would get a mortgage loan, I would set up shop, and I would have some more children with the woman I was with at that time. But God said that wasn't my dream. God said that's not where I was supposed to be at. Moved to Florida, thought I was gonna go straight back to Hollywood within a year. That never materialized itself. Stayed in Florida for about 2 years. Me and my wife, 2018, Panama City Beach. Been with her ever since, through the good, through the bad, through the quiet, through the unspoken. And Lord willing, God will continue to have his way in our marriage. But I said this to say this, because you guys know how I am. I like to talk in the full story. Going to Panama City Beach was what I needed. It reminded me of where I came from, because my life has come full circle. Panama City Beach was a closing of a chapter and the beginning of my new chapter. And when I left Panama City Beach, I walked away with peace. Still thinking about my oldest to this day. Haven't spoken to her almost 2 months, but I know God has her back. And in time, that God's will be done. I was super grateful to have spent that time with my wife, my in-laws, and just loved on them. And I'm really, really happy about what God allowed me to see in myself that subsequently opened up my eyes. And even when I thought I was decent, God is working on me to become an even better father. So I appreciate all you guys watching my live stream as always. I don't have no verse for you today. I did not even know I was going to carry over. And for some reason, can someone explain to me why my incense is still burning? And it's been like an hour. My incense never burns that long. So you can't tell me that God was not in the room today with this conversation. But man, look, I love you guys. Stay tuned for the replay. It will be happening. As always, make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe. And let me just go ahead and drop some of these QR codes just in case you don't know. You can definitely always find me. But every time I do this, it always disappears. But look, I can't even do it. But you guys know what time it is. Love you guys. See you guys on the next broadcast, God willing. You guys are in my heart, my prayers. You guys know how I end the broadcast. Straight up.
Straight up.